Welcome back to Cloudy Reviews.
We're here for the read-along of The Eye of the World, Book 1 of the amazing series. Today, we'll be looking at chapters 4 through 10. So, grab your book, grab your wine, and get ready to read.
Chapter 4, The Gleeman. Enters one of my favorite characters, the Master Gleeman. He has white hair and a white mustache face with blue eyes. Everyone in the Two Rivers has dark eyes, well, except for Rand, gray eyes.
And he gets made fun of a lot for that, until he got big enough to beat the hell out of him.
He's one of the bigger boys.
Oh, can I say that?
Well, you did.
Okay.
The Gleeman starts talking on the headache of the travel there. The Gleeman comes out, talking about the headache of the travel he had getting there. Then all he wanted to do was get a bit of ale and a pipe and was thrown out. No one should treat a Gleeman like that.
I really loved how he talked about Nynaeve.
Yes, the pretty slip of a girl.
Yeah, that was chasing him out with a big, what do you call it? A big stick or something.
Probably she's known for carrying a big stick.
She's not Teddy Roosevelt, y'all.
Ooh. They talk about the troubles of the world and how the Gleeman recognize Fane. Pretty weird little thing for a stranger to come into a town and another stranger and recognize each other.
And I thought it was really interesting that everybody loves Pot on Fane, but Tom really doesn't.
Well, he said Fane is one to carry bad news. He's the one to carry news, the bad news, the quickest.
Yeah, but like when they first said his name, like the way, and I don't remember the exact words, but the expression that was on his face made Rand feel like he was, not such a big fan of Pot on Fane.
Yeah. Then he talks a little bit about his performance and asks our Egwene if she would be his lovely assistant.
Which made Matt laugh, which is to be expected. I mean, that's Matt. But Perrin laughed at it too, and that surprised me a little bit.
I would say that probably out of character for him to laugh at somebody, but if you're friends with Matt, I mean, come on. You got to have a little bit of humor.
Yeah, I'm not sure Matt and I would be friends.
Well, Tom introduces himself as Tom Merlin, once a court bard, but now a master gleeman.
And I want to point that out. Let's just take a moment and say that again. He says that he was once a court bard, but now he's only a master gleeman. Keep that in mind because later on, I want to come back to that.
All right. And you got all the kids been really waiting for the Gleeman to get there. Big deal, way out in the country. But all this news from Fane, they start asking them over news of the wars. And one of my favorite quotes from this book, Tom brings up, in wars, boys, fools kill other fools for foolish causes. I really like that.
Very thought-provoking. Seems like a little more than just a juggler.
Yeah, pretty deep. He remarks on our three young lads there, Rand, Matt, and Perrin. Pointing at Rand, claims that he is an axe handle across the shoulders and as tall as an Ailman. To Perrin, he remarks, you have the size of an ogier. Close enough. Perrin laughs. They are ordinary folk, not made-up creatures from his stories.
I think that is amazing.
Yes.
Foreshadowing. Like, ding, ding, ding. Points to our author right there. He does some really cool stuff.
Yeah. Then we get some fun banter about how traveled the boys are, and Tom picks a little fun, and Egwene, she's pretty sharp. She catches on, and you ain't making fun of her friends. Be polite.
Yeah, she does call him out pretty fast. But see, you like that Egwene does that. If Nynaeve had done that, you would have been like, oh, he is a Nynaeve hater.
All right, so Egwene take up for her friend. Nynaeve is, you will do what I say when I say, or I will thump you.
Some people just need to be thumped.
Egwene is pretty nice. I like Egwene. Nynaeve, what a butt. Well, we get a little bit of a crowd there, and Tom, being a showman, got to give a little taste. So he started off with some juggling and talking about some stories, then stops when he notices a woman appear, Moraine.
Ooh.
He seemed to be kind of on edge, really want to assure her that she would not be displeased over his stories. And then the council comes out, and we get some information about the talk they had with Fane. We learn the fighting is just in Gilladon, that the council was going to send some men out and arrange a watch, including patrols. And our young Matthew is all about that. Him and his two little buddies will like to as well. Join up on that. This is going to be town folk. They don't really have like a militia or soldiers. It's just going to be some farmers out there with the best they could scrounge up. And with this info, town starts getting Rand ready, and they got to get back to the farm.
But wait, he was supposed to get to stay the night. He's supposed to be wooing Egwene. Why is he making him go home?
Well, on the journey home, Tam reveals to Rand that he and the council talked about the mysterious riders that the lads saw. This is the reason they're headed back. Got to make sure the farm is safe. Rand was kind of shocked to be believed, but I think there was some talk with Tam talking about like all of them saying they've seen it, and all of them seem to be pretty stand-up lads. Back to previous chapter, we're talking about what people take Rand as a pretty serious guy. They probably believed everybody but Matrim. And this ends this chapter. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
Traveling through the two rivers? Stop on by the Wine Spring Inn, where the beds are almost as fluffy as Mrs. Alvera's pastries.
Chapter 5, Winter Night. This chapter starts out Tam and Rand just making it to their home in the Westwood. The Westwood is the country of the country. They have sheep and chickens, and Rand takes note that animals are not disturbed, so the stranger couldn't have been there. Tam starts some stew and set Rand about doing some chores, mainly chopping wood, which he lost himself in. Then Tam come out about dusk, get Rand, and hey, supper ready.
Covered in sweat.
He worked up a lather. So I really think that Robert Jordan gave a pretty cool view of Tam's and Rand house. Tam being Tam, it was pretty tidy and practical. They get in there and Tam does something pretty unusual. He hunts for the door key.
Yeah, why is that unusual?
Because being out there in the two rivers, pretty safe place, you know. They never locked the door. No one in the two rivers locked doors. Then Rand heard Tam pulling out that old chest he kept up in his room. When Tam showed back up, he had a sword belt on, and the sword had herons on it.
That's going to be very important.
Rand never seen this thing before. I mean, why would Tam have a sword like that? It led over some talks over Tam, got it a long time ago. And Rand's mother was not a fan of it. But Rand, being a young man like he was, he thought it was the coolest thing that they could have.
Yeah, he dreamed of having a sword.
They start getting their nightly meal of good old stew. They heard a thump at the door that rattled the lock. We learn that their nearest neighbor is an hour away in good conditions. Then, boom! The door burst into pieces. The biggest man he has ever seen with a scythe-like sword entered. Rand was kind of relieved it wasn't a Black Cloak Rider, as weird as that could be.
But I don't think the relief lasted that long.
Once he saw that it had ram horns and a muzzle, all bets were off.
Yeah.
Tam, being Tam, slings the kettle of stew in the creature's face. And sliced and diced with his sword, down in two. But there were more than two. Tam yelled, sending Rand running. Went out the window, running towards the woods. As Morwa headed into the house, through the back door, he hit the ground hiding and knew that Tam had a hell of a fight on his hands.
Yeah, and he felt guilty about running too, which hurt my little heart for him.
Yeah, but I think all he found was like a little hoe handle, and what could he really do with that?
No, it hurt my heart that he felt like, because, Tim would have wanted him to run. That
Yeah.
would have been his, and the fact that that Rand was having guilt about it.
I get it, but what could he do except for go and get killed?
Right.
Or in most cases like that, you run and get in the middle of it, then the person got to concentrate on you more than fighting off theirself, and then multiple people usually die. Then next thing you know, Tim came running. Kind of saw or heard that Rand was over there and veered off running away, trying to get the Trollocs away from Rand. That's something you do for a loved one right there. Rand did a little running himself in the woods and creeping about, and next thing you know, hands covered his mouth, and you probably need a new pair of drawers after that.
Truth.
Then it come to find out it was Tam. He was badly injured, and Tam called the creatures Trollocs.
Wait, I thought those were like made up things.
Not too far back, we learned that. We learned Trollocs thrive in the dark, and they vary. Some track by sound, some by scent, and they serve the dark one.
And they don't seem especially bright.
No, we do learn that they do fear things. What could a Trolloc fear?
And then we meet Nark. Are you getting there?
Yes.
I don't want to rush
No,
ahead.
Narc, great. So Rand sees that Tam is very badly injured, and he takes it upon himself to take Tam's sword and creeps by and go by the barn, and pretty much everything's slaughtered. Made his way into the house and noticed a lot of Trollocs laying around. He get in there, start looking around. Then one of the down Trollocs stands up, and what is his name?
Nark.
Narc Smart.
Oh, poor Nark.
I really did enjoy that interaction. You don't need this sword. Oh man! Then Rand realized he was holding the sword pointing out toward him. And Narc talked about the Murdraw wanted to talk with Rand. Is that what Trollocs fear?
I think so.
Well, the thing lunged at Rand, and Rand luckily got the sword, had the sword between them, and stabbed him. Went all the way through the back.
Is it luck though?
I don't know.
Maybe he's an innate talent.
Maybe he's meant for greater things.
Maybe so.
Well, he ended up getting out from underneath them and need to get a shirt and get cleaned up a little bit. All that Narc blood on him. Well, he had a plan to get Bella in the cart and get Tam to town, but the cart was destroyed and Bella was long gone.
Bella's one of my favorite characters.
Bella is an awesome story. Well, Rand did the best he could, gather pieces of the cart after hacking it with a sword. And he did note the sword was still sharp afterwards.
That's interesting.
And most time you use a sword to hack wood, the edges will roll or chip, but was sharp as ever. Well, he makes a stretcher out of pieces of it. You get back over and find Tam asleep, not doing good at all. And Tam was having a fever dream. But deep down, Rand knew all he had to do was get Tam to town and everything would be all right.
Because who was going to fix him?
Nynaeve.
Your favorite character.
There's some things I like about Nynaeve, but her attitude, oh man, we would not get along.
Well, you know what they say, birds of a feather.
I can be a little stubborn. But just like Nynaeve, bottom line, I'll take care of my own.
Right.
All right, that ends Chapter 5. Chapter 6, The Westwood. So what we have here is Rand is fleeing his home, trying to get his father Tam from their house in Westwood to Eamon's Field so Nynaeve can heal him. Tam is in a fever dream mumbling, while Rand is worried the Trollocs and Fade will catch them. Rand has Tam on a makeshift litter. He can't stay on the road due to fear of the man in black or Trollocs. So he kind of pull him through woods. Middle of the night, hungry, tired, scared to death. Pulling Tam seemed like a pretty stocky guy, barrel-chested. Couldn't have been fun. Well, it's mumbling. He gets some interesting things talking about layman's sin of war. Then all of a sudden, a black-cloaked rider appeared on the road. He wasn't too far from the road. You could see it. Going back and forth, searching. Then we get more fevered talks, which goes over cutting down a tree, having to sword a tree of life. The Green Man, who tends the tree of life. Tom mutters over the slope of a mountain and finding a newborn child and his dead mother. That Tom couldn't leave the kid. They had no child, and she always wanted one. Rand is a good name. Imagine finding out you're adopted like this.
Right? Nightmare.
And, it could be false, I guess. It could just be a fever dream.
But who's not going to want to know?
All he knows is, you gotta get him to Eamon's Field. And that pretty much chapter 6. Chapter 7, Out of the Woods. As daylight breaks, Rand makes it to Eamon's Field. It took him all night to make it. As he is approaching, he smelled a heavy smoke. Half the houses were heaps of burnt rubble. Apparently, Rand and Tim were not the only ones to have an eventful night. The master blacksmith, Master Luhan, approached Rand asking if they had Trollocs too. They shouted for the wisdom Nynaeve once he saw what was going on with Tam. So, were there more than one band of Trollocs, or did they attack Rand and them and go back, or vice versa?
I don't know. Do we ever really know?
Let's see if they clear that up.
I mean, they did talk about the Waygate letting Watts in way later on.
Yeah. But at this point, they don't know nothing about that. While Master Luhan was talking with Rand, he mentioned that his wife cracked one Trolloc with a frying pan after looking at their house this morning. She went looking for another one. As Master Luhan set out to do what it needs doing, he showed the Two River attitude, saying, the light will take care of us, and if the light doesn't, well, we'll just take care of ourselves. We're Two Rivers folk.
Which is an excellent sort of summation of their community identity, I think.
After Nynaeve takes a look at Tam, she breaks the news. There is nothing she can do. So the poor boy, tired, hungry, all night, knowing all he had to do get him there.
And then he gets him there.
And she can't do nothing.
Oh, big letdown.
Rand just says, I brought him quickly as I could. And Nynaeve had to just leave him. There were more to do. There were other people she could help. And then Egwene there, his love. Well, that had to be tough, and she tried to console him, but Nynaeve needed her help, so she had to go.
Why does Nynaeve need her help? What happened?
Because we found out in a previous chapter she's an apprentice to Nynaeve.
Right.
Well, this being the small little country town it is, Rand thinking, well, if the wisdom Nynaeve can't help, the mayor can. He'll know what to do. As he goes up, he meets up with our Master Gleeman Tom. And Tom talks over how impressed he is with the wisdom skill, and Master Fane is missing.
Interesting.
As he walks, he notices the dragon fang is on the mayor's door. This is a mark used to claim someone as a dark friend. Well, Rand finally meets with the mayor, and he claims he thought they were dead because Bella showed up without them in the middle of the night. Your favorite?
Yay.
She ran, leaving them behind, going to town. I like to believe she was going for help. The mayor tells Tom to get the wisdom, and if she doesn't come, he will know the reason for it. Rand kind of dumbfounded to let all that play out, I guess.
Right. I don't think he did it purposefully.
No,
but
I think he kind of in a stupor.
Yeah.
But when Tom arrives back, he is not happy. You didn't say she already seen him. She about took my head off, boy.
That little slip of a girl?
Yeah. While the mayor is thinking on what to do, Tom asks a simple question over who put the mark on their door. Why would they claim such a thing? Could it be his guests? The mayor talked over how his guests help everyone, called lightning from the sky, hitting Trollocs. Land was a whirlwind with his sword, 10 places at once. It's interesting that Moraine Land burst from the inn, screaming of Trollocs. How did they know? This is where we learn Moraine is an Aes Sedai and Lan is her warder. And with this talk, the mayor thinks they are Tam chants. Aes Sedai can heal. Gleeman, why didn't you think of it?
Because He didn't want to be remembered that way.
Yeah, he's a stranger in a strange place, and not his place to throw that out because there are a lot of different views over Aes Sedai.
He did kind of lead him there, though.
Yeah, Tom, solid guy, one of my favorites. My man Rand got the nerve up to go ask the scary Aes Sedai Moraine for help. As he approached, she made a remark about a little more light in the darkness, then asked over his dreams. If he has any bad dreams, he should tell her. She can help.
Super weird.
Yeah, I mean, very, very weird in the timing, I would think.
Right? Like,
oh, all these people dead.
by the way.
People to heal. Yeah, your dreams. I can heal. I can help with dreams. One funny part is Rand thought, is there any story where Aes Sedai was not the villain? He told her he would pay the price, and she was like, if there are any, we will settle them later. Rand started trying to speed her along, and Lan took up for her. So Water seemed very protective. You know, she's tired. Don't push her, boy.
Mm-hmm.
So Rand got her assistance for Tim, but they're talks of prices. We got to see how that plays out.
Interesting.
And that ends Chapter 7. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
If the weaving of the wheel has you feeling ill, come on to see Nynaeve. Her herbs cures all, from yellow eye fever to breakbone fever, and everything in between.
Chapter 8, A Place of Safety. We started a chapter with them entering the room that Tam is resting in inside the Mayor's Inn. We have some good info dumps in the chapter. At this point, Tam is not mumbling. The eyes are shut. Moraine sends all of them away except for her warder and Lan. And she lets Rand stay after he did some minor begging. While she was tending to Tam, Lan made some comments about Rand's sword. Mighty fine. Asked if it had herons on it, which it did.
We found out that's important.
Yeah. Rand kind of lost himself in telling about it while he was watching Tam. Tam made a comment over the heron was a sign of a master swordsman.
But I think at this point, Rand still thinks that Dad picked it up from a peddler.
Yeah. I mean, master swordsman. Kind of be a big deal.
Yeah, you'd think you'd know that about your dad, right?
Rand asked if they could have prevented things if they'd known ahead of time. If he told them about the figure in black. Moraine said not without half a dozen of her sisters, so are we getting a limitation there? I don't know how that holds up.
Or is she just trying to make him feel bad?
Yeah. So there's definitely got to be some limit to her power, but I tend to agree with you on that.
I mean, because at this point, it's done. You know, there's no use making him feel worse about it.
Well, we learn a bit about Myrddraal and Trollocs weapons, where they are made and how they are tainted, at least some, will not heal unaided, cause of deadly fevers, sicknesses. To heal this, she will need some help. She produced a small figurine and called it Angreal. The items are relics of the Age of Legends. They let the user do great things, more than they could do unaided. As she used it to tend to Tam, they talked of how Myrddraal, also known as Fade Half-Man, made from Trollocs and man, more Tain in them than Trollocs. They are the brain that leads the Trollocs in the battle. There is a saying in the Borderlands that the look of the eyeless is fear. So they are eyeless. They have no eyes, but they have great vision day or night. So I'm going to make some more people mad. When I think of a Fade, I think about like the ring wraiths in Lord of the Ring. Also kind of think about the bad guy Harry Potter. How when he gets like the snake kind of face, a picture kind of like that, except for without eyes. Well, Moraine comes up saying she is done and gives us some info that the knowledge to make Angreal is lost, that talents are gone or weaker, and the strongest can't do much in the way of healing.
And this is something that we're going to see again and again throughout the series. There's been so much that's been lost. And to me, it's very reminiscent of the medieval age in Europe, where so much of the knowledge that was collected by the Roman Empire was lost when it broke up.
Oh, I can see that. That the Angreal, it needs will and strength to draw on it. That Tam must be a strong man the taint is gone, and he should heal. So, like, healing kind of comes from the one being healed, maybe, or their will and strength.
Or is it coming from the light?
The creator?
Yeah, because
I think the book talks about a lot of healing comes from the strength of the one being healed, like their will and that. I may be wrong. We'll have to see.
You're never wrong. We established that so early on in our relationship, folks.
Then Moraine throws out that Rand will leave the same time they do and have to break down to him that he must leave. That there were specific targets, Perrin family house, Matt's family house, and Rand's. The town was more to create chaos, to kill and capture men of a certain age. Those three are of an age of a few weeks apart. All three will have to leave to protect the village. To Tar Valon they must go to seek answers. Tar Valon, the city of the Aes Sedai.
And I think that is pretty much the first we've heard of Tar Valon individually, right? Like,
yeah, we've heard of a city beside Dragonmail, but I don't think it would name.
Right, of an island.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they make their plans to leave at dark. Rand is told he will have to leave Tam a note. He needs rest and not to wake him. Everyone leaves them alone. And
that's got to be a huge blow to Rand, because earlier when not Nynaeve, Egwene was talking about, that she kind of wanted to see things and experience the world, and Rand was like, no, Two Rivers people don't need any of that.
Very content, like.
Yeah, and suddenly his contentment has been just blown away.
We all want a venture at times until they're forced upon us, I guess, though.
But I'm not even sure he wanted it.
Well, I mean, like, he would do, like, small walks to the mountains of mist and stuff like that, and daydream, and he wanted to do the sign up for the, like, little town guard and stuff like that, but leaving, kind of a big deal.
And suddenly he's faced with it.
Yep. Well, Rand, like a good little lad, falls asleep at Tam's bedside.
Aww.
Chapter 9, A Place of Safety.
I would think Tam's bedside would be a place of safety. He seems like a real stand-up dad.
Yes. Tam, good people for sure. We enter a dream sequence. I have to say, the dream sequence is pretty good. But after like 2 or 3 times, I get where I hate going through the dream sequences in these books. Flicker. That's probably my top tier thing I hate the most, Flicker. And then just any dream sequence below it. So I'm not going to go much over this dream sequence. Just the gist of it, he dreamed he was being chased by Trollocs and arrived to people viewing him in a positive way, like a hero. Kind of a weird dream. Rand wakes and Tam does too, not long after.
I dream I'm a hero all the time.
You would. They talk for a bit of things, and Rand tells him that what Moraine told him about the Trollocs looking for him. Tam was very understanding of the fact he needs to go. Tam also led on with his thoughts on the outside world of Aes Sedai waters. He seems to have a lot of knowledge for a simple farmer.
I found that very odd, too. The whole fact that Tam was so okay with it. Like, I think most parents would be like, whoa, slow your roll there.
I think it goes back to Tam character. Well, if it needs to be done, we got to do it. Like, it makes sense. Well, Rand is summoned by Lan. Tam's tell Rand to take his sword. As Rand gets out, Matt is rocking a quiver and a bow. Probably a little more practical for farm folk out hunting and protecting livestock. We find some of the town folk are threatening the Aes Sedai to leave. That they brought the monsters. This group was led by the Congers and Copelands, our town troublemakers.
That.
Exactly. The headaches of Emansfield. They even threatened to burn the mayor's inn down, which didn't go over too well. But Bran did a good job diffusing it with a little bit of guilt over the healing and fighting the Aes Sedai did for all of them.
Well, I mean, he's so right. Somebody's going to heal you up and then you're going to threaten to burn them out? That's just rude.
Well, Maureen did a little of her own diffusing. She put on a bit of a show and then started talking over the history of the people there, how they descended from people of Manetheren, how they stood against the Dark One in the Trolloc Wars. Their symbol was the Red Eagle. They were legit. They fought for a week and a half by themselves, waiting for help. And they shouldn't have lasted a day, but they held. Eventually, they had to flee. Not all. Some fought soldiers, farmers, women. When the king died, the queen, who turned out to use the power, wielded the power, let out a mega attack with the power. These people are the ancestors of the good Two Rivers people. This story and her previous deed made all of them apologize and disperse.
And it gives us that first hint that because they say it consistently throughout the series about the old blood, and I think that's kind of like our first insight into what the old blood is and why it's supposed to give you chills and make you proud.
Coming from somebody that pretty much half Scotland Highlander and half Viking, I can see the power of my bloodline.
I think it's like 3% Viking.
No,
folks.
11% Viking, 46% Scotland Highlander.
Well, we are in Georgia, and they were brought over for Georgia's protection, so there you go. Yeah. Can we get you in a kilt?
Please do.
I can't wait.
Well, Lan led Matt, Rand, and Moraine to the stable yard of the inn. That pretty much ends Chapter 9.
Good chapter right there.
Yes. Chapter 10, Leave Taking. This is a really fun chapter. I find it to be very, very fun. So our people arrive at the stable. Perrin is found there sitting in a straw. Lan asks Perrin if he searched the stable as Lan requested. Perrin, and is serious to the point where he was like, I searched. No one is here.
Because Perrin is just a good guy.
He's kind of like a little Tam.
I mean, like his whole chuckling at Elaine earlier, I felt was very, or Gwen, excuse me, it was very out of character for him. But overall, he's just a stand-up guy.
Then we get Matt picking at Rand, pointing at his sword. Are you becoming a warder?
Speaking of stand-up guys, Matt is not one.
Matt is the definition of a stand-up guy.
Mm-hmm.
We'll
sit tight, guys.
We'll get back to this point.
This is going to be an argument we have for
Not
a while.
for long.
Oh.
Then Matt waving his bow around like an honest man just needs a bow, which I think is backwards. Bows can be shot from windows and shadows, guerrilla warfare type thing,
So what an honest man need? His fist?
No, I mean a sword. I mean, you're fighting other people with weapons.
Okay.
Face to face, I guess. Perrin is sitting there, like embarrassed, acting. Come to find out, he has an awesome axe on his blade. One made for fighting. Broad blade that was balanced with a spike.
I don't really understand that. Balance with a spike? What does that mean?
Well, you got like a half moon blade on one side. Then the other side of it got a spike. That way the weight balance.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And I have a pretty awesome replica of a sort of Perrin's axe. It's not official. It's one I found. And I was like, that's it.
It does look really good beside our map, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll have put a picture up. I think we did on episode
the last
1. Yeah.
one.
All right, there's some back and forth, and Lan jumps in talking about weapons and getting them in the right frame of mind. Then we get a bit of talk that Perrin and Matt left notes, and Rand told his father, then boom, Moraine out of nowhere, clearly frustrated that her instructions were not followed to the T. Now another surprise appearance, Rand love interest Egwene. You're not leaving without me.
I mean, she's the one that's been trying to get up out of here.
She came with her own supplies and some raw statements about seeing the world.
raw statement. I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
What surprised me is she was there ready to go without being 100% Rand was going. Because she was like, oh, Rand, you're going?
Well, I mean, she kind of made it clear earlier she was ready to see the world with or without him.
She saw Perrin and Rand sneaking about, and no surprise really to find Rand there. So at this point, Maureen is probably very frustrated, asked, could anyone else know? Egwene was like, nah. So she is coming, reasons and parts of the pattern, all that.
And then,
So now they're going with one additional companion. And Lan is like, she can ride the Gleaming Horse, and ta-da! Tom comes down from the hayloft, and Moraine is oddly calm at this point. Either she's good with it, or like, oh yeah, might as well. So now we have a problem. What horse for Egwene to ride? Rand offers Bella the old farm horse. Rand get a feisty and fast gray named Cloud. And the first time reading this book, I was like, man, this horse Cloud, that is our last name. I was like, that's it. I'm going to love watching this horse travel, reading about it. Our path is set. All right, we can hope for an easy journey, right?
I don't think so.
As they left, Rand thought he wasn't even gone yet, and I'm already kind of homesick.
Aww. Well, Tim's a good dad.
Yeah.
And he's leaving him sick. I mean, you wouldn't want to leave your dad sick.
Well, I don't think he'll worry about Tim much longer, because as they got going, he saw a figure with leathery wings flying, hunting for something. Like a bat, but way bigger. Land called it a Drakkar, which was created during the War of the Shadows.
Yeah, Jesse would have it in the backyard trying to give it some of the bird seed from the bird feeder.
Hey, I like birds.
Mm.
Don't hate me because you ain't me. And that ends Chapter 10.
Thanks for joining us on this journey, guys. Looking forward to next time.
Can't wait to see what the Will weaves in the next episode.